Welcome back to Euro Transfer Talk on EFD, where we are dissecting what proved to be an unbelievably hectic deadline day across the continent. But who won the window? Stay tuned for our bumper deadline day edition. Let's start in Germany, where Wolfsburg were without doubt the busiest club on deadline day. Stuck in 15th in the Bundesliga and facing a genuine relegation battle, Die Wolf came out swinging after the shock loss of Wout Weghorst to Burnley. The 6'6" striker was prolific in Germany, netting 59 times at a rate of exactly a goal every other game. But in a move very few saw coming, Sean Dyche has charmed the Dutchman to Turf Moor for just €14 million in what looks like a match made in heaven. This looks like a major blow for Die Wolf, but fortunately they had a plan B, as no sooner had Weghorst left for Lancashire, a new striker was checking into the Volkswagen Arena. That man is Jonas Wind, a 22-year-old forward who arrives for €12 million from FC Copenhagen. Problem solved, or is it? This will be a huge step up for Wind, who has scored 11 times in 29 appearances in all competitions this term. He did have a very productive 2021, netting 15 in the Danish Superliga, but there will be a lot of weight on his shoulders as Wolfsburg try to beat the drop. But Wind isn't the only new addition tasked with rescuing Florian Kohfeld's side. Wolfsburg have also signed the young American defender Kevin Paredes from DC United and pinched a 33-year-old Max Kruse from Union Berlin, who returns to the club after 6 years away. Kruse has set Die Wolf back an additional €4 million, but considering the attacking midfielder's record of 25 goal involvements in the past 18 months alone, it could be a small price to pay if safety can be secured. So Wolfsburg have gambled on survival, but are their additions enough? Let us know down below. At the start of January, no one could have predicted that Aaron Ramsey would be on his way to Rangers. On a staggering £400,000 per week at Juventus, it seemed impossible they would ever be able to afford the Wales international, let alone convince him to join the Scottish Premiership, with interest flooding in from the Premier League. But as the minutes ticked by on deadline day, Rangers rose from nowhere to emerge as favourites for the ex-gunner. As reported by Sky Sports' Gianluca Di Marzio, Ramsey rejected multiple offers from the likes of Burnley and Crystal Palace before Rangers came calling, with Juventus more than happy to let him go. In truth, Ramsey's Italian adventure had never really sparkled, with just 25 starts in Serie A over the past 2.5 years, while this term the Welshman has hardly featured, handed just 97 minutes of football in the league. He did win Serie A and a Coppa Italia with the Bianconeri, and this taste for silverware may have swayed the 31-year-old to join Rangers. The Scottish Giants are currently top of the league, and Ramsey will know that if he can keep them there, the Champions League will await. Rangers have reportedly paid around €2 million for the 6-month loan, with an option to buy for a further €5.5 million in the summer, which could become an obligation if they win the league. And with Juventus agreeing to stump up the lion's share of his monster wages, Giovanni van Bronckhorst can be content knowing he might have pulled off the most high-profile transfer in recent Scottish history. And who should he face on his debut for the club? None other than Celtic in the Old Firm derby. What a place to start as Ramsey looks to rebuild his career. Aaron Ramsey proved to be one of many departures on deadline day that should leave Juventus feeling very satisfied with their January window. The old lady had already signed Fiorentina's goal-scoring sensation Dusan Vlahovic for a massive €81.6 million. According to Sky Sports, this was their entire transfer budget for the rest of 2022, meaning if any more additions were going to be made, players would have to be sold. Step forward, Tottenham Hotspur. Guided by Juve's own former transfer chief Fabio Paratici, it was first revealed Spurs had signed the talented Uruguayan midfielder Rodrigo Bentancur for an initial €19 million. This should have finally pleased Antonio Conte, considering the Italian wanted Bentancur at Chelsea back in 2017, when he originally made the journey to Europe from South America after breaking through at Boca Juniors. 181 games later and Bentancur has become a staple at Juve. And even this season the 24-year-old still was among the top 11 players for minutes in their squad, trailing just Weston McKennie and Manuel Locatelli in the midfield. But with his performances slowly waning over the past 18 months, Juventus have decided to cash in while they can. The same can be said for Dejan Kulusevski, who is also heading to the Lily Whites. Unlike Bentancur, the Swedish winger has found minutes hard to come by this term, picking up just 5 starts in Serie A. It was rumoured Max Allegri didn't trust the 21-year-old on the ball, which only heightened speculation he could leave. Spurs came calling, agreeing an initial 18-month loan worth €10 million, with an obligation to make the deal permanent for a potential €35 million. It's worth reminding that Kulusevski was named Serie A Young Player of the Year in 2019-20 after lighting up Parma with 10 goals and 8 assists, so Conte will know he has a serious player on his hands. Meanwhile, Denis Zakaria headed to the Allianz Arena for €8.8 million from Borussia Mönchengladbach, concluding his own transfer saga and the old lady's hectic window. Juve fans, are you happy with everything that has happened? You know what to do. Tottenham will be pleased with their deadline day double signings, but it was their outgoings that really made headlines with clubs across the continent benefiting from Conte's purge. 4 first-team regulars were chopped from the books as Monday dragged on, starting with Tanguy Ndombele, who rather than joining PSG ended up returning to Lyon for a measly €1.4 million loan fee. It's only been 2.5 years since they signed the Frenchman from Les Gons for a record £60 million, but Conte, like his predecessor Mourinho, has decided the 25-year-old isn't fit for the Premier League. Lyon have an option to make the move permanent for €65 million, although that is quite clearly never happening. Elsewhere, Giovanni Lo Celso also got a return to the league that made him famous, this time heading to Villarreal to join his former PSG boss Unai Emery. Like Ndombele, the Argentine has become a costly error on Tottenham's account, having arrived for around €50 million from Real Betis. Also 25, Lo Celso scored just 8 times in 84 appearances for the Lily-Whites, though started just twice in the league this term. On loan until the end of the season, it seems unlikely we will ever see him in a Spurs shirt again. Also heading back to Spain is Bryan Gil, who joined Sevilla on loan too. Only signed in the summer for €23 million in part exchange with Eric Lamela, the young winger has been restricted to mainly substitute appearances under Conte. Gil will be back, but the same cannot be said for Dele Alli, the final departure out of Spurs. As confirmed on Sky Sports News moments after the window drew shut, the English midfielder has called time on his 7-year Tottenham career to join Frank Lampard's revolution at Everton. The deal could one day end up costing the Toffees £40 million, so Spurs will be hoping a change of scenery can finally get Dele back on his feet. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is a lucky man after a comical blunder that almost took its place in infamy alongside the great deadline day moments. Confident a deal could be struck to join Barcelona, the Gabonese forward was caught on video arriving at the airport in Catalunya. However, clearly Arsenal and Barca weren't on the same page, with both revealing no agreement had been reached. It was then reported Aubameyang claimed he was merely visiting family in the city, something Paul Merson wasn't buying in the Sky Sports studio.
Good. We wait to see what happens with Aubameyang.
Yeah, I'll be watching at home, don't worry about it.
Yeah, what's your hunch on that? He'll be staying?
I think he'll go and see his other parents or his other part of his family in Galatasaray.
But all hope was not lost for the 32-year-old. Just when it looked like the former Gunners captain had travelled in vain, Barca president Joan Laporta revealed he was confident a deal could be struck. The club had hoped to move on Ousmane Dembele in this window, but despite a late official inquiry from Chelsea, it grew clear the Frenchman would be going nowhere after all. PSG had been expecting to sign the former Dortmund man after Sky Sports revealed they had reached a verbal agreement with Dembele by Sunday night. However, those dreams were scuppered when Barca demanded €20 million from the Parisians. Knowing full well that Dembele can be snapped up for free in the summer, PSG walked away. So if Aubameyang was going to get his dream move to the Camp Nou, something would have to give. Unfortunately, that came from the player himself, after it was revealed the forward accepted a significant pay cut on his £350,000 per week wages to facilitate the deal. According to the BBC, Barcelona had just €2 million to pay Aubameyang for the remainder of the campaign. Ex-Saint-Etienne star ultimately accepted. At Arsenal, he was guaranteed €9 million, representing a massive €7 million drop in salary. Joining for free on an 18-month deal, Arsenal have finally managed to shift Aubameyang after a month of discontent, and could save £25 million in the process. Barcelona meanwhile have added yet another jewel to their crown, and will be feeling pleased after a surprisingly strong window that has seen Ferran Torres, Adama Traoré and now Aubameyang all head to Catalunya. But Arsenal fans, was it a mistake to let Aubameyang go? And Barca fans, how happy are you with your January? Let us know in the comments. So guys, that was Euro transfer talk for another week. What was your favourite move of deadline day? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, leave a comment and subscribe to Euro Football Daily, and I'll catch you next time.